Mark here, cooking books, bringing info. So we all know that what's going on, with isolation and quarantine and everything like that. Put it like this, this video real quick, I'm gonna keep it short. Just want to say this real quick. Look, folks, I remember growing up in high school, I'm sure a lot of us can relate. You always had those guys or those dudes who was always tough when they were with their friends, right? Like when they were with their group, when they were with their gang, their buddies, whatever, they always ran their mouth. A lot of tough guys than when they with their friends. But when you saw them by themselves, they were like a total different person. I'm sure y'all can relate. Y'all remember that? I'm sure you guys remember experiencing that, right? It's an experience that everybody experienced. You know what I mean? You always notice people who, when they're with their friends, when they're with their homies or whatever, they were always tough guys. But then when you saw them by themselves, they were like a completely different person. I remember that growing up, right? And now that we're all adults, that psychology still exists, but it exists in a more evolved way. What I mean by that in a more evolved way is this. Instead of being tough when you're with your friends, you're confident when your money's right. You see what I'm saying? You're confident. Instead of being tough, it's no longer you're a tough guy with your friends. It's now you're confident. You're strong. When I say strong, it's a semblance of strength, because I'm gonna tell you why it's not real strength. And same thing, confidence, a semblance, meaning a slight resemblance of a thing. So it's a semblance. That's what that means. A slight resemblance of confidence, a resemblance of strength. But to the trained eye, someone like myself whose eyes are trained to look beyond the semblance, to the trained ear, you know what I mean? My ears are trained to hear the tonality and pattern recognition in your voice, to know that what you're saying is in opposition to what's being conveyed in the tonality and the vibrational frequency of the voice that's speaking, right? I could train my ears to know that what you're saying doesn't jive with what's the underlying energy or energetic properties of your voice, which is the tonality, the pattern recognition in your voice. So it's a semblance. You speak strong, but I know my ears is trained to hear the weakness in your voice, in the tone, right? You look strong, but my eyes are trained to look beyond and beneath the veneer. You know what I'm saying? So I say that to say, folks, your true strength is going to be tested when you're by your fucking self. Pardon my language. Your true strength is going to show up when you by yourself, not when you with your friends. Again, I'm using an analogy, right? The high school analogy. When you're with your friends, everybody's tough. But when you're by yourself, it's a whole different person. As an adult, when your money's right, when your business is right, when everything, the family is right, the wife is right, the girlfriend is right, the boyfriend is right, when all of that, your car is running right, your car is on, your gas tank is on full, when the fridge is packed with food, when everything is right, and you're walking around confident and strong, alpha male, that's not real strength, folks. That's not real strength at all. Train your eyes, train your nose to smell the bullshit. Real strength is going to show up when you are isolated, when you are forced to sit still right now in quarantine, when you lost your job. Right now, unemployment numbers are through the roof. It's been the worst since the Great Depression, right? I believe, 14 million, the last count I saw was like 14 million. The percentages, the ratios are moving up. So the point I'm trying to make is that true strength life is going to test your mettle. And it's going to prove to you what you're really made of. Whether your metal is made of metal or it's made of mush. You understand? Life's going to test your metal. And you're going to find out what you're really made of. Because but here's the thing though. There's a idiom. And the idiom is just idiom just means like a language particular to a culture, right? It's a saying, a maxim, an adage. It's all the same shit. Being even keeled. That's the idiom. Being even keeled meaning being able to stay steady, composed, collected, balanced, poised, unflappable when everything is going wrong. You see, that's the catch when everything is going wrong in crisis, especially in a crisis. Crisis, however you want to pronounce it. Even keel, being able to stay balanced, to keep it together when all around you is falling apart. When everyone's criticizing you, ridiculing, laughing, mocking, when everyone is speculating about you, you're a spectacle. Being able to remain poised, steady, a captain at the helm, at the ship, controlling it, navigating the waters, even keeled. It's a term that sailors use when you can keep the watercraft balanced, smooth sail through rough waters. When the storms and everything is going, the oceans are raging around you, you're able to keep that ship steady, even keeled. And I guess I'm sharing that because the truth is, I'm going through my own, disasters, natural disasters, tsunamis, whatever you want to call it. And in it, I'm learning that this is where your true self is going to show up. You know what I mean? Like, I got to have honest conversations with myself. That's why I do a lot of running. If you guys watch my videos, I jog a lot. 10 miles, 5 miles, 10Ks, 5Ks. I run a lot. And that's a way of, look, there's so many ways you can handle stress. You can go smoke, right? You can go drink. You can try to go be promiscuous with other women or whatever, men, if you're into that shit, I don't know, whatever. You can go kill people. You can go rob, steal. I mean, there's so many things people could do. You could shoot drugs in your arms. There's a lot of things people could do. It's not what happens to you. It's how you handle what is happening. And in this video, I want to make this clear. I want to say this. I want to get this out there. Whatever happens to you happens to everybody. Whatever has happened, look, here's the thing. We all face the same exact things, folks. All of us. Don't ever feel ashamed of what you're going through. Here's why. It's part of the human experience. People hate trouble. People hate uncomfortable situations. People hate, living in luxury and pleasure. Everyone wants to live in luxury and pleasure. Everybody hates the misery. But understand, the misery and the uncomfortable and the pain and the all the BS that you go through, understand this. Nobody is exempt from it. There's no man on this earth that is exempt from it. 1. 2, it is part and parcel to the human experience. Part and parcel means absolutely necessary. It's a requisite. It's demanded. It is ineluctable. I like that word. It is ineluctable, meaning unable to escape or avoid. You must go through this. It is part and parcel to the human. It is what it means to be human. There is no way around it. Wrap your mind around that concept. Let that sink your teeth into that truism, that truth. And you will see that life becomes so much more, I can't even think of a word. Life becomes so much more easier, right? Smoother, right? I was trying to think of a better word to use, but my brain just kind of went dead on me. But the point is, sink your teeth into that. There is no way. Everybody goes through the same exact thing. Everybody. The danger coming when you start to isolate yourself and believe that, why is this happening to me? No. Why is this happening to everybody? You're not exempt. You're not special. I'm sorry, Walt Disney World, they messed your head up. Snow White, the Seven, all that bullshit, they messed your head up. Fairy tale, Santa, all that nonsense. The reality is you're not special. Sad but true. You are not special. Let me tell you who you're special to. You're special to yourself. I was going to say your mother and your father, but that's questionable because it depends. You know what I'm saying? You're special to yourself. And you're only special to yourself if you even believe and acknowledge that. Because some of us treat ourselves worse than our enemies would treat you. Think about that. So, you know, everybody goes through the same thing. That's what I really want to get across. We all go through the same thing. Here is the difference. You want to know what the real difference is? The difference is degree. Degree. That's the only difference. We all go through the same things in different degrees, right? You might experience a certain traumatic event for one day, whereas I experienced the same traumatic event for 2 days. See what I mean? Simplicity, keeping it simple, right? We don't want to get too complex and complicated and intricate, right? So it's all about degrees. I might be on the beach and living la vida loca, sipping pina coladas, and I can afford a 1 week vacation. You have more money, more wiggle room. You are the owner of the CEO of the company, so you can afford to be on that beach for months, for weeks, you know, whatever, indefinitely. Right? At some point, you got to get back to your responsibilities as a CEO, but you have way more wherewithal than I do. You know, I work for the company. You are the company. You see what I'm saying? So I can vacation for maybe a week or two. You can vacation for 3-4 weeks. I'm still on that same beach with you. I'm still dangling my feet in that same green, crystal, greenish, bluish, beautiful water and drinking that you know, the pineapple, you know, drink. But I could only stay for a week. You could stay for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I experienced the same thing, different degrees. You know, I go through a breakup. You go through a breakup. You know, my breakup didn't have a financial loss. Yours did, because you had more invested with the person. So same exact breakup, different degrees. And we can go on forever. So suffice it to say that we all are experiencing the same thing, different degrees. So don't ever, and if you could get that, really get that, you'll ward off the depression. You won't fall into depression, right? You won't sink into panic attacks. You won't sink into anxiety attacks. You won't sink into I need to take 5 or 6 pills just to cope every day. I know people who are taking all kind of pills just to get out of bed, just to make it through their day, right? Let me tell you something, folks. Side note, I've had women over the years dealing with women tell me, you know, you're intense. I've had women say, look, you're a great guy. I can't be with a guy like you. You're too intense. You're too intense. And I remember I've heard it so many times, and I'm not talking about recently. I'm talking about over the years. There was some points where I was just sort of thinking, maybe I need to turn down my intensity. Man, because I keep hearing this thing. But I start to realize something, right? Here's what I did, because you watch my videos, you know by now, I'm just a book lover. Like it's a word called bibliophile, means someone who loves to read, right? I'm a wordsmith. Like I will break words down to their basic, you know what I mean, purest denominator, whatever. And so I started looking at the word intensity, because I kept being labeled as intense from both male and female, right? So I started looking up the word intense, and I found out the word intensity had some beautiful meanings. It's just it forceful, strong, you know what I mean? You know, and when I saw that, I was like, forceful and strong. I'm like, so what women were saying, you're too strong for me. That's what they were saying. You know, a certain magnitude, size, strength, like all these synonyms of intensity. You know, I was thinking, like, why would I want to get rid of that trait? Why would I want to? I started realizing that's something that is a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. So I say that to say, folks, like listen, don't ever, you know, let people question who you are. Don't change who, you know, and look, if you're smoking cigarettes and somebody's saying you're smoking cigarettes is affecting the relationship or affecting something, that's something you might want to address, right? Because that's a negative vice. That's a bad vice. You know, if you're constantly cursing people out and people are like, yo, your mouth is potty mouth, you're cursing people, that's a bad vice. But if it's something where, like, my intensity, I'm a stockbroker. I've been on Wall Street 14 years, and you can't survive that business without intensity. You know what I'm saying? You just can't. There's no, I've seen the most brilliant guys come into that business, and in a week, they're out. They done. Revolving door. They can't make it. Smart, very smart, because they got to be smart to pass that test, the Series 7. It's like the 5th hardest test in the country. So you got to have some intelligence to pass that test. Not intelligence, I'm lying. You got to have smarts. And let me tell you why. What's the difference between intelligence and smarts? Smarts is books, right? You can sit in the class, you can comprehend, reason, rationalize, critically think, and you can come up with solutions. Smarts, that's book smarts, right? You can get 90s and 100s on your test. Smart. Intelligence is being able to applicable, right? Apply smarts to real life problems, right? Real life situations, real life struggles. You see the difference? One smarts has to do with sitting in some air-conditioned classroom. Intelligence is applying that smarts out in the real world, in the jungle. You see the difference? Smarts, again, you're sitting in some kind of educational institution with a nice, cool, air-conditioned classroom, a controlled environment, right? Intelligence is applying that same smarts out on Sufton Boulevard with drug dealers around the corner, crackheads over here, you know what I'm saying? A couple of pimps over there, swindlers over there, some deceivers, and you know what I mean? You see that street smarts, book smarts, intelligence, smart, complete two different things. So, not to digress, but again, intensity, right? For me personally, my intensity is what gets me. It's why the women who were in my life at the time who complained about it is what drew them to me. I started realizing that too. I'm like, it's the intensity about me that made you come in the first place. But are you strong enough to stay? That's it right there. Even as I'm saying this, that's the thing. Like in the business I'm in, right? You're smart enough to get into business because you can smarts that test. You have the smarts to pass that test. But are you intelligent enough to stay? And I said, intelligence involves smarts also mixed with grit. You got to have grit. Grit can be translated strength. Strength can be translated intensity. You see what I'm saying? You got to have grit. You got to have gumption. You got to have chutzpah. You got to have balls. You got to have get up and go gut. You cannot. Yeah, like, don't come for me. Because if you come for me, you're going to find me. You dig? Don't come for me. Because if you come for me, you're going to find me. And here's the problem. You ain't going to be able to handle me. You're not. You're just not on no level. So, I guess, I don't know, I kind of digressed a little bit, but, getting back on track, everything happens, we all go through the same stuff. Everybody experiences the same things. We all experience the exact same things. You know what I'm saying? But it's how you handle it, how you cope with it, how you deal with it, and understanding that even keeled, stay balanced, stay poised, no matter what's going on, stay composed. And here's the last thing I want to leave with you guys. Last thing, very, very important thing, very, very important. Always forgive yourself. Peace.